Okay, so the next topic is GM crop. Okay, GM crops. Crops are nothing but edible plants. Okay, and GM here it stands for genetically modified. That means a plant, okay, a natural plant which is modified genetically. That means its gene is modified. Its gene is changed or altered, okay, and modified by adding some other gene from other source, okay, so that we can get the desired gene that we wanted in that particular crop. And that desired gene can be the gene which can code for the characters like healthy plant, high yielding, resistant to cold, insects, pests, okay. So these kind of things are desired characters that we wanted. And if the crops, if they are not having all those desired character in their gene, okay, then the gene which are superior, okay, it is first of all it is identified in some other organism, and the same gene only, the same DNA only is extracted and incorporated into those crops. And those crops which are having gene of some other organism, that is gene of interest from other sources, that are genetically modified crops, because these crops, their gene are modified, okay, their genes have been altered in order to get the desired character. So this is all about genetically modified crops. So when we talk about the advantages, there are several advantages, okay, because I've already told you that GM is genetically modified crop. That means its advantages will be, it increases the productivity, okay. Number one is productivity. So it increases the productivity. How? By showing resistant to pathogen, okay. The pathogen, that means the organism that cause diseases, the insect, pest or microorganism, okay, that causes diseases, because diseases will not occur only in animals or human beings, okay. Crops also they are diseased sometimes because of the interference of pathogenic organism. But if the crop is genetically modified which so resistant to pathogen, then it can increase productivity, okay, because the plant will not be diseased anymore. The pathogen cannot infect the plant. So similarly, number two is they will be highly tolerant, okay. The plant which are genetically modified, they will be highly tolerant to abiotic stress like cold, okay, drought, heat, etc., okay, because some of the plants, some of the crop plant, if there is heavy rainfall in one particular season, then the same crop, if it can yield a very good productivity, it can have very good productivity for several years. But due to some reason, if in a particular year there is some environmental stress, there is heavy cold, heavy rainfall, okay, then at that particular season it cannot yield as much as it used to do, okay. So that kind of environmental stress, abiotic stress, it can tolerate, okay. This genetically modified crop can tolerate. Now similarly, increase post harvest longevity. Now post harvest longevity, okay. Now post harvest means after we harvest the crop plant. I've already told you crop plants are nothing but edible plants. So after harvesting the plant, okay, we can store that same plant for years, okay, maybe 1 year, 2 year, for yes, we can store that for 1 to 2 year and we can use that. But some of the crop plant, if it is not genetically modified, then it cannot show resistant to pest, okay. And if it does not show resistant to pest, then after harvesting, that is post harvest, okay, after harvesting, it cannot last long, maybe it will last for 6 months or 7 months, but more than that it cannot last. But if it is genetically modified, then it will show post harvest longevity. Okay, and similarly it increase growth due to increased mineral uses efficiency and absorption efficiency. So it increase growth. How it increase growth of plant is because if it is genetically modified, if its gene is modified in a way so that it can absorb more minerals from the soil, it shows highly efficient in absorbing all those minerals and water from the soil, then that will lead to the rapid growth of the crop plant. Okay, and similarly it enhance nutritional value. That is obvious because if it is efficient in uptaking all the minerals and nutritional ions from the soil, then obviously it will have very high nutritional value. Okay, and also at last it can produce pharmaceutical products or proteins sometimes. So pharmaceuticals means the chemical substance, biochemical substance that is present in the crop, which is used for production of medicines. Okay, which is used for production of medicines. Proteins are also medicines. Okay, proteins are also biomolecules. So this if genetically modified crops have highly nutritional value, then it can also provide these pharmaceutical proteins. So these are all advantages. Now there are several disadvantages also. Number one is environmental risk. Okay, environmental risk, disadvantages. Now genetically modified crop with herbicide tolerant gene. If the genetically modified crop have herbicide tolerant gene, okay, that means it can tolerate all those wheat plants, okay, wheat plants, okay, herbs, it can tolerate all those things. Okay, even if there is lots of herbicides, even if there is even if there is lots of herbs and weeds, it can tolerate that and it can grow to its optimum level. Okay, so genetically modified crop with herbicide tolerant gene, insect and pest resistant gene may crossbreed with weeds and can cause transfer of gene from crop to the weed. Okay, so if this gene, okay, if this gene has weed resistant property or sometimes insects, pest, okay, pathogenic organism, insect resistant property, then the same gene, okay, and gene from all those insect and pest, they can crossbreed. Okay, they can reproduce, they can crossbreed. So now if it crossbreeds, then what happen? Those gene, insect resistant, okay, insect pest resistant gene, weed resistant gene, it can get transferred to the crop plant, and sometimes this gene, okay, can transfer to the insect pest. And if the gene which is resistant to herbs and weeds is transferred to the insect pest, then it is we cannot maintain this insect and pest, it will grow rapidly. Okay, this pathogenic organism, insect which feed on that crop, they will grow enormously. Okay, so that is the main drawback, it can crossbreed. Now number 2 is health risk. Okay, number 2 is health risk. Now GM food, that means genetically modified crop, it may cause toxicity or produce allergies. Okay, the enzyme produced by antibiotic resistant gene can cause allergies. Okay, so genetically modified crop, they sometimes may have toxin or it may cause toxicity to the human being. Okay, suppose if this genetically modified crop has gene which has got antibiotic resistant property. Okay, antibiotic resistant property. If the gene of the crop contain antibiotic resistant property, then this antibiotic resistant, now that crop can tolerate antibiotic, okay, and that can cause, if we consume that crop, it is rich in antibiotics, okay, because the plant will not die, they are resistant, so it may have antibiotic but they will not die. So if we consume the same crop, then it can cause allergy for us, it can cause allergy to the human beings. Okay, so that is the another risk. Now the third one is the bacteria of colony may take up the recombinant DNA with antibiotic resistant gene which confer upon bacteria antibiotic resistant property. The bacteria will then be difficult to manage. Similarly, like when these two, okay, when the crop plant and the wheat plants, okay, when the crop plant and the wheat plant, they interbreed, okay, they interbreed, then the gene from the crop plant can go to the insect pest, okay, and can confer the same genetic property into that insect pest, which is difficult to manage. Similarly, the same thing, the bacteria of colony, if the bacteria of colony may take up recombinant DNA, okay, with antibiotic resistant gene, if the recombinant DNA has antibiotic resistant property or the gene, the same recombinant DNA, if it is taken out, taken by the bacteria of a colony, any colony, okay, then the same antibiotic resistant property will go to the bacteria, and if the bacteria is resistant to antibiotic are substance that will kill the bacteria, okay, but if the bacteria has recombinant DNA which has antibiotic resistant property, then the bacteria will grow enormously and it will be difficult for the human beings to control that growth of the bacteria. So that is the main drawback, okay, of genetically modified crops. So when we modify any crop, we need to take into account that it is not having this kind of disadvantages. Okay, we need to make sure that the genetically modified crop do not have this antibiotic resistant property, okay, because rest of the thing, when we compare these advantages with disadvantages, rest of the things are advantageous. There is more advantage than disadvantage in this genetically modified crop. So this is all about genetically modified crop.